Once upon a time, nestled deep in a sunny green forest filled with birdsong and sparkling streams, there lived a very curious and adventurous little girl. Her hair was the color of sunshine, bright and golden, which is why everyone in her village called her Goldilocks. One beautiful morning, Goldilocks was out exploring. She loved the forest. She said hello to the red squirrels chasing each other up the tall oak trees and watched the yellow butterflies dance over the purple wildflowers. She followed a winding, mossy path deeper and deeper into the woods, farther than she had ever gone before. "What a wonderful adventure!" she said to a friendly bluebird. The bluebird chirped back, as if to say, "Be careful, little one." But Goldilocks was so busy admiring a patch of bright red mushrooms, which she knew not to touch, that she didn't realize she was lost. The path had disappeared. "Oh dear," she whispered, looking around. The trees looked very tall and all the same. Just as she was starting to feel a little bit worried, she smelled something wonderful. It smelled warm, sweet, and delicious, like oatmeal and honey. She followed the yummy smell and, through the trees, she saw a charming little cottage. It was the coziest house she had ever seen. It had a bright red door, a neat little garden full of sunflowers, and smoke was puffing gently from its chimney. "Hello?" Goldilocks called out, walking up the garden path. "Is anyone home?" She knocked politely on the bright red door. Knock, knock, knock. No one answered. She stood on her tiptoes to peek through the window. She saw a tidy little kitchen with a table set for 3. Her tummy gave a little rumble. She was very hungry after her long walk. Goldilocks pushed the door just a tiny bit. Creak! It swung open. It hadn't been closed all the way. "Oh," she said, "maybe they just stepped out. I'll just peek inside for a moment." Now, this little cottage belonged to a family of 3 bears. There was the great, big Papa Bear, who had a deep, rumbly, tumbly voice. There was the kind, medium-sized Mama Bear, who had a gentle, sweet voice. And there was the teeny, tiny Baby Bear, who had a small, squeaky little voice. That very morning, Mama Bear had made a big pot of delicious porridge for breakfast. She poured it into their 3 special bowls. A great big bowl for Papa Bear, a medium-sized bowl for Mama Bear, and a teeny tiny bowl for Baby Bear. But the porridge was piping hot. "Whew, my goodness," said Mama Bear, fanning the steam. "It's far too hot to eat." "You are right, my dear," rumbled Papa Bear. "Why don't we go for a short walk in the forest while it cools? The morning air is lovely." "Yes," squeaked Baby Bear. "Let's go find honey flowers." So the 3 bears locked their door, or so they thought. Papa Bear hadn't pushed it quite shut, and went out for their walk, never guessing who might visit while they were gone. Back in the cottage, Goldilocks stepped inside. My, what a cozy home! The first thing she saw was the table with the 3 bowls of porridge. Her empty tummy rumbled again, even louder. "I'll just have one tiny taste," she promised herself. "I am so very hungry." First, she looked at the great big bowl. It belonged to Papa Bear. A big wooden spoon was resting beside it. Goldilocks took a tiny spoonful. "Ow!" she cried, fanning her mouth. "That is way too hot." Next, she looked at the medium-sized bowl. It was a pretty blue bowl belonging to Mama Bear. Goldilocks took a tiny taste from the silver spoon. "Ew," she shivered, making a face. "That is way too cold." Finally, she looked at the teeny tiny little bowl. It was a cute yellow bowl with red polka dots, and it belonged to Baby Bear. She took a tiny taste from the tiny little spoon. She smiled. This porridge is not too hot and not too cold. It is just right. It was so warm and sweet with honey that before she knew it, she had eaten it all up. Scrape, scrape, scrape went her spoon against the bottom of the empty bowl. With a full tummy, Goldilocks felt a bit sleepy. She looked around and saw a cozy living room with a warm fireplace. There were 3 chairs. I'll just sit for a moment to rest my feet, she thought. First, she tried the great big chair. It was Papa Bear's big wooden rocking chair. She climbed up, but oh, she grunted. This chair is way too hard. It felt like sitting on a block of wood. Next, she tried the medium-sized chair. It was Mama Bear's armchair, covered in soft, flowery cushions. She flopped down into it. Whoosh! Oh my, she giggled as she sank down, down, down. This chair is way too soft. She almost disappeared in the pillows. Finally, she saw the teeny tiny little chair. It was Baby Bear's chair, painted bright blue with a soft little cushion. Ah, Goldilocks sighed, sitting down. This chair is not too hard and not too soft. It is just right. She rocked gently in the little chair. Creak, crack. But Goldilocks was not a teeny tiny bear. Crack! The little chair broke. It wobbled and then bonk. It fell apart into 4 pieces right on the rug. Oh dear, whispered Goldilocks, feeling a little bit silly. Oh my. Now she was very sleepy. She saw a staircase and thought, maybe there is a comfy place to nap upstairs. Just for a minute. She tiptoed up the stairs and found a bedroom. Inside, there were 3 beds, all lined up in a row. First, she looked at the great big bed. It was Papa Bear's bed, with a very high headboard. She tried to climb on, but the pillow was very high. This bed is way too high at the head, she puffed. Next, she looked at the medium-sized bed. It was Mama Bear's bed with a fluffy pink quilt. She lay down, but her feet dangled off the end. This bed is way too low at the foot, she complained. Finally, she saw the teeny tiny little bed. It was Baby Bear's bed with a soft cloud-like pillow and a warm yellow blanket. She yawned, climbing in and pulling the blanket up to her chin. This bed is not too high and not too low. It is just right. In less than a minute, Goldilocks was fast asleep, dreaming sweet dreams. A little while later, the 3 bears came home from their walk. They were happy and hungry and ready for their breakfast. "I'm ready for my porridge," rumbled Papa Bear, walking to the table. "I'm ready for my porridge," said Mama Bear, smiling. "Me too," squeaked Baby Bear, skipping to his chair. But when they got to the table, Papa Bear stopped. He looked at his bowl and growled in his deep, rumbly-tumbly voice. "Someone has been eating my porridge." Mama Bear looked at her bowl and said in her gentle, sweet voice, "Someone has been eating my porridge." Then Baby Bear looked at his cute yellow bowl. His eyes got wide and he said in his small, squeaky little voice, "Someone has been eating my porridge, and they ate it all up." He looked very sad. The 3 bears looked around, confused. Who had been in their house? They walked into the living room. Papa Bear pointed his big claw at his chair. He rumbled. "Someone has been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear smoothed her cushions. "Someone has been sitting in my chair," she said, sounding puzzled. Then Baby Bear looked at his spot by the fire. "Oh no!" he cried in his squeaky little voice. "Someone has been sitting in my chair, and they've broken it all to pieces." A little tear rolled down his fuzzy cheek. This was very strange. Papa Bear looked worried. "We must check upstairs," he said in his rumbly voice. Quietly, the three bears tiptoed up the stairs. Tiptoe, tiptoe, tiptoe. Papa Bear looked at his big bed. He saw his pillow was messy. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed," he growled. Mama Bear looked at her medium-sized bed. The pink quilt was all crumpled. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed," she whispered. Then Baby Bear tiptoed to his teeny tiny bed. He saw a little head with golden hair resting on his pillow. He squeaked in his tiny, excited voice, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed, and she's still here." Goldilocks woke up with a start. She opened her eyes and saw three bears staring at her. A great big bear, a medium-sized bear, and a teeny tiny bear. "Eek!" she squeaked, and the bears all jumped back in surprise. "Oh my!" Goldilocks sat up. She felt her face turn red. She wasn't scared. They had kind faces. She was embarrassed. "Oh, goodness!" she said, scrambling out of the little bed. "I am so sorry. I was lost in the forest, and I was so hungry, and your door was open." Papa Bear looked serious, but not angry. "You should never go into someone's house without permission, little girl." "I know," Goldilocks said, looking at her shoes. "And I ate all of Baby Bear's porridge, and I accidentally broke his chair." Baby Bear sniffled. "My chair?" "It was an accident," Goldilocks promised. "I'll help you fix it, and I can go home and get you some honey from my mother's beehive to say thank you for the porridge." Mama Bear smiled a gentle, sweet smile. "Well, what a fright you gave us, but it is very good of you to apologize." The bears were so kind that they weren't scary at all. Papa Bear showed Goldilocks the path that led back to her village. Goldilocks waved goodbye, promising to come back the next day with honey for Baby Bear. And she did. She and her father came back and helped Papa Bear fix the teeny tiny chair, making it stronger than before. Goldilocks and Baby Bear shared the honey, and they all became good friends. From that day on, Goldilocks was still an adventurous girl, but she learned a very important lesson: to always be respectful of other people's homes, and to never eat a bear's porridge unless you ask first.